What do you think about DC saying he would have already fought Tom?
I don't think much about it, but I really do want to fight Tom Aspinall. I just want to meet him here at Dirty Boxing.
So he has to come to a Dirty Boxing event for him to get the fight?
No, we'll fight here at Dirty Boxing.
You'll fight at Dirty Boxing. I like that. All right, John.
Tell us who, when, or anything like that. I know you're not allowed, but in terms of the heavyweight division, why do you think the top guys are so reluctant to fight at the moment? Do you think it's fear? Do you think it's strategy? Or do you think it's the system just giving them reasons not to?
Probably all three, I would imagine. There's a lot of there are a lot of politics involved, unfortunately, but that is the nature of elite sports. That's what happens.
UFC President Dana White came out publicly and said he's ready to bid adieu to Jon Jones if the current heavyweight champion fails to solidify his next bout within the next few weeks. As per White, the promotion can no longer wait endlessly and is already considering backup plans in the heavyweight division. The onus now lies on Jones to either finalize talks or sit out. White stressed the need for keeping the division alive, and his statements indicate a definitive change of the UFC's attitude, implying that the business would go on without its current champion if necessary.
Jon Jones has never turned down an opponent here or been afraid to fight anybody.
So if, for instance, he doesn't fight this guy, who would you like to see him fight? Or are you gonna wait until he fights this guy?
I don't know. We'll see how this thing plays out over the next couple weeks. But yeah, if we can't get this fight done, we'll move on quickly.
I was gonna say, Dana, my last thought on that. How long are you gonna wait? I mean, how long is it worth waiting for?
I said a couple weeks.
Couple weeks?
Yeah, we'll have answers in the next couple weeks.
In the meantime, Chael Sonnen has been adamant about trying to resurrect the rumored Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall bout. Sonnen has gone to social media and other outlets to inform fans that the fight is not out of the running, citing internal talks that indicate a November timetable is still possible.
I've never believed that Jon Jones is turning down Tom Aspinall. I know what you heard Jones say in the media, but that's not the litmus test. The test is when that phone rings and it's somebody on the second floor of the Ultimate Fighting headquarters that tells you a venue and a time. That's the call. Your response to that call, and that call alone, is what decides whether you're ducking.
Both sides are still being pursued, Sonnen says, and there is an expectation that the fight will be done in the near future. He has also asked fans to hold on, stating that despite delays, this is a normal occurrence in the fight business and negotiations of such magnitude.
Whether you're willing, whether you want to do it, or you don't want to do it. And I think that as time goes by, we get luckier and luckier, because I think that we as the fans want that fight in New York. We want it in November. I'm confident in telling you it's going to be in New York in November. I'm confident in telling you you're going to get the fight.
Optimism was, however, dampened recently when Sonnen indicated that Jon Jones's coach stated that the fight is likely not to happen until next year. This news has brought more doubt to whether Jones will be back to defend his belt in 2025, much less this year. Jones's camp, as per Sonnen's sources, isn't in a good place with regard to the November timeline, and the time could drag out much longer than the UFC originally planned. This has created mounting skepticism within the MMA universe over Jones's intentions, and if he is still on track to fight at the top level of the division.
Very close to Jon. I spoke to one of Jon's coaches, and I didn't get a massive inside scoop, but I did say, hey, is he going to fight Tom? And the coach didn't have it. He didn't know, and I could tell by his body language as we were discussing that he wasn't holding something back. He just had an opinion based on what he's observed, and he said, I think so next year. I do not think he will this year. That was it. That was a quote.
Compounding the problem, according to the report, was that Jon Jones was said to have challenged Tom Aspinall on the condition that the bout be fought in a dirty boxing style. Though no official statements from Jones's management have reaffirmed these conditions, the remark has only heightened the speculation around the champion's motive in this matchup. A majority of people in the community see this as a distraction, implying that the champion might be reluctant to fight under regular rules.
What do you think about DC saying he would have already fought Tom? Should I move the
I don't think much about it, but I really do want to fight Tom Aspinall. I just want to meet him here at Dirty Boxing.
So he has to come to a Dirty Boxing event for him to get the fight.
No, we'll fight here at Dirty Boxing.
You'll fight at Dirty Boxing. I like that. All right, John.
In spite of the uncertainty about Jones's intent, Tom Aspinall seems unfazed and intent on his own trajectory. He made a comment recently announcing that a new bout announcement is imminent and explained that UFC politics tend to cause high-profile fights to be postponed. Aspinall was not frustrated, but instead came to terms with the dynamics of how things play out during negotiations. His level-headedness and proactivity have endeared him to fans and analysts who admire his professionalism in an era of bogged-down negotiations and media rumors.
I've got a fight coming up soon, so I can't say anything else other than that, really.
Obviously, you're not going to tell us who, when, or anything like that. I know you're not allowed. But in terms of the heavyweight division, why do you think the top guys are so reluctant to fight at the moment? Do you think it's fear? Do you think it's strategy? Or do you think it's the system just giving them reasons not to?
Probably all three, I would imagine. There's a lot of there are a lot of politics involved, unfortunately, but that is the nature of elite sports. That's what happens.
During follow-up interviews, Aspinall stated that he is willing to take on any kind of bout the UFC offers. If it's against Jones or another top-ranked contender, he reiterated that he is willing to fight under whatever rule set. Aspinall believes that being a real martial artist involves stepping up to a challenge, and he asserted that he would never retreat from any opportunity. His preparation has cemented his status as a trustworthy and formidable presence in the division, irrespective of the opponent or environment presented to him.
Tom Aspinall's the guy. He's the guy.
Dana White says I'm his man. We love that. We love that on the channel.
And what about Francis Ngannou? You having him? You want some?
The day that I start ducking out of fights and turning opponents down and stuff like that is the day that I'm going to retire. So, as I've always said, and you can ask any promoter I've ever worked with, any guys at the UFC, I'll fight anyone, I'll fight anytime, and I'll fight anywhere. Never turn down a fight in my life, never will. The day that I start thinking about turning down fights is the day that I'll retire. So, to answer the question, whoever they want me to fight is who I'm going to fight.
As Aspinall looks to progress, the MMA community continues to be vocal about Jon Jones's recent actions. Former champion and longtime Jones rival Daniel Cormier had words on the situation by acknowledging that Jones is essentially ruining his own legacy via inaction. Cormier observed that a champion should be willing to defend their title and battle emerging contenders without flinching. His remarks resonated with the general opinion that Jones's absence not only hurts the division, but also taints otherwise great career.
Thinks with all of these tweets, he thinks he's having the greatest run on Twitter. What's really happening is he's cooking his own legacy right now. He's making a mockery of his legacy. Show me a great champion, a great from Jordan, Brady, Lemieux, Ali, Gretzky. Show me someone who acted like this in their final chapter. Show me someone who refused to play it forward.
In a further piece covered by Chael Sonnen, Cormier discussed that if he were Jones, he would have already faced Tom Aspinall and done a rematch if needed. Cormier continued to propose that if Jones continues not to book the fight, it could raise questions regarding if the champion is avoiding competition altogether.
The Big Bear speaks, Daniel Cormier. And he, as a world champion from the heavyweight class, has the right to an opinion. Right? They love to say everybody can have an opinion. Everybody's got an opinion. Well, not everybody has the right to an opinion. He does. And it was very interesting. He said, if I was the heavyweight champion, if I was still fighting, I was the heavyweight champion, I'd have already fought Tom Aspinall.
Those comments have added to the pressure on Jones, especially from fellow combatants and UFC veterans who have stressed the title holder's duty to remain active.
I'd have already fought Francis Ngannou. I'd have already rematched Jon Jones. He said, if Jon Jones leaves right now, he does not retire, he quits. And that was a powerful statement.
Michael Bisping added his own take on the issue as well, worrying about the message being conveyed by Jones through his extended hiatus and the uncertainty with which he is coming back. Bisping described such measures as not being in line with what people normally want to see from a fighter who is true to the spirit of competition.
Defend the belt or vacate, simple as that. You can't just hang on to it for an elongated period of time and then just decide to fight whenever you want. No, you owe a duty to the fans, to the opponents, to the division. You owe it to yourself. And I tell you what, he doesn't want to give Tom a chance because he's worried about getting beaten, okay?
Although he did not downplay Jones's achievements, Bisping highlighted that legacy is not established solely on talent, but on consistency and the willingness to take the top fighters head on without any delay or conditions.
Never mind that. Legacy's not like that. People will look at John Jones and say, yeah, he was a tremendous champion. And if he goes out there against Tom Aspinall, a new generation guy, and was to give it his best shot, and he was to lose, but he still had the balls to put it on the line, which, by the way, is what every single fighter does when they step in the octagon. We all take chances. We don't know. We aren't guaranteed to win these fights. But if he was to do that, and he was to lose in a valiant effort, people would say, well, you know, he's a bit older. Tom Aspinall came through, but look at the career that he had. Unbelievable. One of the greatest of all time, right? But if he avoids Tom Aspinall like the plague, and he continues down this line, it will absolutely affect his legacy because, and I don't care what he's done in the past, because it doesn't embody the spirit of a fighter.
Ahead of the future, Bisping provided a series of possible opponents for Tom Aspinall in case the Jones bout does not materialize.
For John Jones to walk away and go, oh, I don't fancy that. He's a bit nasty. He's got big hands. The man can wrestle. He's quick. He's fast. He's agile. Holy shit, I've never fought anyone like that. I'm living my best life, guys. I've made my money. I'm going to walk away. People will look at that and say no.
As per Bisping, the division cannot hang in suspense, and Aspinall should be kept busy against top-level contenders. These suggestions point toward a dynamic future for the division, even if the highly anticipated clash with John Jones does not materialize.
He's only got one loss on his record, and I think he would cause some problems for Tom Aspinall. Of course, Tom might take him down, but I think on the feet he's taller, he's longer, he's quicker, and he cracks very hard. So regardless, I would favor Tom in both of those matchups, but just the fact that he has mentally moved on.
Ariel Helwani shared frustrations with the situation regarding John Jones, speaking negatively of Jones's approach to the UFC, as well as questioning the organization's treatment of him. Helwani's words imply a multifaceted perspective, recognizing both Jones's achievements and controversies, while also pointing out the UFC's complicity in his actions. Helwani's breakdown emphasizes the complexity of the scenario.
Got him that money. They finally got him that money. And he said yes. And then he said no. And since he said no, they've been trying to figure out a way to get him to do this fight. One last fight. He ain't budging. And he's been starting to give us some sort of indication, hints, that he is not interested. But right before 316, he gave us many indications. And when I say not interested, I don't mean not interested in fighting. I mean not interested in fighting Tom Aspinall specifically. Let's go through the tweets, and then let's get to Dana White, all right? So he talks so much about Tom. And on the one hand, that could give you hope that he's building something, but I don't think he is. My boy is not as special as his fan base thinks he is. I've seen Tom get tapped out twice by different people.
Helwani's remarks imply a multidimensional perspective, admitting both Jones's achievements and controversies, and emphasizing the UFC's contribution to his actions. Helwani's observation stresses the multifaceted nature of the matter.
Cool. Here today, gone tomorrow. He likes to say this about the latest person that people think will be a good challenger for him, because that's what we want. We want good challengers for champions. We continue. Let's keep going. Let's rifle through these. Someone says he was actually tapped once, you dumb F. Once, twice, to me, it really makes no difference. He's loving this. We keep going. Someone says you're scared. It really has nothing to do with fear. The question I ask my close friends and family is, how much higher can a person like me keep climbing this sport? The goal is for athletes to build a brand, then take that brand and become so much more than an athlete. He's giving you hints. He's done. He doesn't want to do this anymore. I spoke to the UFC a long time ago about what my future plans were. I haven't really worked out since my last fight in New York. Honestly, I believe it's been in the UFC's best interest to keep presenting me as the company's champion, not Tom. This idea of the TV deal has been brought up. This fight is pre-TV deal. New TV deal comes into play. So it's not really in their best interest. But anyway, I've been playing the role of company man by doing nothing at all. John, company man. Maybe the greatest contradiction of all time. The UFC has done more for Jon Jones than any fighter on the roster, and that includes Conor McGregor.
With all this constant drama and hypotheses, Tom Aspinall seems set to move on, with Chael Sonnen saying that Aspinall is set to provide a major fight update. This impending revelation could clarify Aspinall's motives and potentially reshape the light heavyweight class. Fans eagerly anticipate it, with speculation on potential opponents and fights. Aspinall's willingness to share new information signifies that he's prepared to make a major career change, and the update will be sure to generate a lot of interest and talk.
We're told by Tom Aspinall that he has a fight, that he can't say who it is, but he can say who it's not, and that it's not Jon Jones. Now, this isn't an official announcement made by the UFC, and generally if the UFC got to the spot with Jon Jones, the spot where in the office they know we're not going to make the fight, we're not even trying anymore, they move on, and in this case they would go to Surreal. And that's supposed to be like the big dark secret, that if it's not Jones versus Tom, then it's Tom versus who? The answer is Surreal. But whether that's supposed to remain a secret or not, Tom is revealing for us that that's the step that we're at. He didn't say the name Surreal, but he said we're moving on absence of Jones.
But it appears as though the UFC don't want to release this bout. Tensions were high as Dana White vented about Jon calling out Francis Ngannou. Things escalated when others jumped into the fray, defending or attacking Jon's behavior. The discussion heated up, with some of the participants believing Jon's remarks to be unjustified, while others believed them to be well-deserved criticisms. The encounter brought to the fore underlying issues and dynamics of power in the group, initiating a broader debate concerning communication and accountability. The event uncovered deeper alliances and conflicts.
And all the rest of it.
He said he's ready to vacate the belt.
He said he doesn't care if you strip it, but he would vacate it.
Fucking crazy. Yeah, I've been busy. I haven't been keeping up with the gossip. He comes back. He's either back today or came back yesterday or whenever he's in Thailand. So he's home. We'll be home tonight, and Tuesday we'll figure this out.
Dana White had always favored a Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall bout, and in his latest press conference, he reconfirmed his stance further, speaking negatively about a Jon Jones versus Francis Ngannou bout.
I understand if you can't answer this question, but damn it, I'm going to ask anyway. Is there a fight that Dana White wants to see in the UFC above all else in 2025?
So I get asked this every year, and this year it would be Aspinall Jones. That's the biggest fight in heavyweight history. And at the end of the day, what my job is to give the fans what they want, and that's what the fans.
This is indicative of White's strategic vision for the company and his agenda for the division. The news marks the continued dynamics between major players at the UFC, with expectations towards upcoming matchups and the overall direction of the organization.
It was kind of crazy how much interest Jon showed in the Francis Ngannou fight. Like, there was some tweets going back and forth. What would happen if he came to you and says, like, I'll fight, but I won't fight Aspinall, I would fight Ngannou? Would you even be interested in that or no?
I don't have Ngannou on her contract, and Aspinall's the guy.
Right. If you were put in the position, would you maybe try to get Ngannou back under contract or no?
Probably not.
Ultimately, he issued a stern warning, effectively telling Jon Jones to retire if he desires. White's words hint at frustration with the recent behavior of Jones, as if to say that if Jones is unable to live up to expectations, he's welcome to hang up his gloves. The public shot is a sign of increased tension between White and Jones. White's words can mean either a change in their dynamic or a call for Jones to fully commit. The comment has ignited controversy among fans and fighters.
Tom Aspinall's the guy. He's the guy. I don't know. Yeah, we'll have to see how this plays. Listen, if the guy wants to retire and doesn't want to fight, nothing you do. I didn't want Habib to retire. I thought DC should have stayed in it longer. So it's none of my business. I'll do what I can to make the fight if we can. If he's talking that crazy, I didn't realize that.
But MMA guru and Mighty Mouse aren't so sure about Dana White's words, deeming the recent events as part of a marketing scheme to create hype for a proposed Tom Aspinall versus Jon Jones bout.
He's a genius, or he's the biggest troll of all time, right?
Yeah.
Like, one, I think they know something that's going on. The fight is probably done, and they're probably using it as leverage in order to sign the new TV deal, right?
Yeah.
I don't understand why don't they just say that, but for some reason, like, there's a part of me that's like, the fight's gonna happen. Like, I feel like Tom Aspinall, they know. I feel like John, they know. Dana knows. I feel like everybody knows, but John is just like, signed a petition. Oh, I'm in Thailand drinking coconuts, da-da-da-da. And I feel like the UFC is enabling him to, like,
annoy everyone,
which is, I mean,
which is a good promo strategy. I've never wanted Jones to lose more than now, so he's actually riled up the whole audience, and in a way, this might be the best promotion of a fight we've ever seen the UFC do before. If they have orchestrated this to be like, just strict, like, because you know when you don't know you want something until you don't get it.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
And this is one of those things where if they would have just dished out Aspinall versus Jones, and it would have already happened last year at MSG, it would have been like, it sold 500k pay-per-view buyers. It was a big fight, you know.
Under this line of thought, the dance around Jones's rivals is a strategic move to engage followers and keep them interested in the narrative evolving around Jones and Aspinall. This is the thought that the story is being professionally written to maximize interest and elicit anticipation for the possible fight, with White's remarks playing the role of sparking the hype. Through challenging White's motives, MMA Guru and Mighty Mouse present an opposing view of events.
I mean, you know, it was a good fight. Whoever won. But now it's to the point where people are, I mean, if nearly 200,000 people are willing to sign an imaginary petition to strip Jon Jones, I mean, the amount of people that would be willing to part with some of their money to watch a pay-per-view, this is setting up to be one of the biggest fights. The only thing I would say is I used to think that maybe they were using it as leverage for the new platform deal that they're doing, which is a very smart move. But if I was doing that and I was the UFC and Jones was tweeting the stuff that he's doing and going around like that, I'd be like, you fucking dumb. We got a platform deal on the line and you're doing all of this. Like, we're supposed to be teasing the idea of the fight happening, and Jones is out there tweeting, I'm done. It's over. I had a good run. So if they were planning that.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more fight news.